Hello everyone, it is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you today with a Bitcoin and Pi update video, going over concerns about Pi, and then why I'm still so bullish on Bitcoin. Before we get started, everyone say hello to hello Dashi, and a quick shout out to my Patreon members. Da 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 da. Everybody. All right, so let us get started here. First off, what I did, and again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Just letting you guys know what I've been up to. I have bought about $4,400 worth more of Bitcoin today, which brings me up to a little over 3/4 of a Bitcoin. My goal by the end of the year is to have 5, I guess. There's probably only going to be like 3.5, 4, but again, I'm just letting you guys know my goals. And let's say if I'm talking to my friend Steve. Steve, if you have any extra cash, put it in Bitcoin. That's just my advice to my friend. But why? And my friend EJ said something that I'll never forget. He said, most of what I say is not an original thought. That's a quote by him. And he says, like, take a look at the people that are smarter than you, do what they do, and one day you'll have what they have. So I'm like, okay, well, who are the companies that currently have Bitcoin? And here we go. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, Chinese government, Block 1, Wrap BTC, MicroStrategy, U.S. government, CoinShares, Celsius, Ruffer, Tesla, Stone Ridge Holdings, BitMEX Insurance Fund, Tim Draper, Tezos Foundation, 3IQ, Michael Saylor, Galaxy Digital, ETC Group, Bitwise, 10 Crypto Index Fund, Skybridge, Square, Grayscale DLC Fund, 21 shares, 9 Point Bitcoin Trust, Mass Mutual, Marathon Patent Group, Bitcoin SE, CI, Galaxy Bitcoin Fund, Hunt 8 Mining, Voyager Digital, Riot Blockchain, CT, Coin Citadel, Argo Blockchain, Enigma MPC, Hive Blockchain, Mel2, Cyberpunk Holdings, Ontario Government, Digital X, Big Digital Assets, Advanced Digital Technologies, Fortress Technologies, Bit Digital, DMG Blockchain Studios, BTCS Inc., Neptune Digital Assets, and Elon Musk. Oh my god. All right, so I don't even think that if Square was on there, I don't even remember reading it. There's so much of them, and outside of that, I don't even think I saw Jack Dorsey on there. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy was on there, but yeah, there's a lot of different people, and not to mention the big one that we just saw, Time Magazine. I'm going to go and read that article right now, and this is from TheStreet.com. Quote: Time Magazine joins Tesla in holding Bitcoin. Will make crypto video series. Time Magazine plans to make an educational video series on crypto and will accept Bitcoin as payment. Michael Sonnenschein, the CEO of Grayscale, announced today via Twitter that Time Magazine has partnered with Grayscale to create a new educational crypto video series. The series will be made by the nearly 100-year-old publication and is set to come out this summer, 2021. I'm very excited for that. Time, as well as Time's president, Keith Grossman, will be paid in Bitcoin, and the company will continue to hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet. The company will now join the likes of MicroStrategy, Tesla, Square, and others who hold Bitcoin on their balance sheets as a store of value assets. Again, all those other companies that I just named, not including to mention the Chavez Trading Company and the Chavez Canto Project, are all holders of Bitcoin, putting most or all of their profits on the balance sheet. That's just what I'm saying. 3 weeks ago, the company posted a job for a new CFO. The job post asked for comfort with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, end quote, in its list of qualifications, showing that the company may have already had some intention of Bitcoin exposure in the near future. Now, Time also recently sold 3 of its covers as NFTs, showing further involvement in the cryptocurrency. Time represents the first legacy media brand that will hold Bitcoin. Before I get into that, I did not even know that they had sold 3 covers as NFTs. I don't know which ones they were. If I had to take a guess, maybe it might be the first one that they ever did. It might be Albert Einstein, who was the person of the century. And maybe it might have, maybe like 9/11. I'm just guessing here. I don't know which ones they were, but 3 of the covers as NFTs. It's just, I wish I knew that they did that. I would have tried to buy them. Anyway, Time represents the first legacy media brand that will hold Bitcoin, and many are wondering what the implication of this move are. Some people are scared. Some people are just like, it's so volatile. It goes up here, it goes down here. Yeah, if you're buying high and you lock in your losses yeah, obviously, but. And yeah, some people think like a black swan event, like a solar flare, might wipe anything electrical. I think we have more issues than that if a solar flare comes up, but I digress. This news leads to some speculation on whether or not the companies owned by Mark Bainoff, like Salesforce, which is CRM, which is a pretty good stock if you ask me, would consider having Bitcoin on its balance sheet as well. While Bainoff has not been vocal about Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, he has expressed his stance indirectly when he invested in Chain Analysis, a blockchain analysis company, through his investment fund, Time Ventures. Now, through his investment in Chain Analysis is not evidence that Salesforce would hold Bitcoin on its balance sheet like Time. The investment is an indication that he has faith in the crypto industry's future. I think evidence does point that way. That's what he will do. Again, just my opinion. Now, outside of that, we did have a couple of other things. One of which is from Bitcoin Magazine, and as currencies inflate in value, Bitcoin serves as a pressure relief valve, allowing capital to escape. As small cap currencies inflate, Bitcoin gains adoption. Now, Bitcoin is the first fully sovereign digital currency. This means that anyone in the world with an internet connection and a computer can download the protocol and start running it. Maybe they want to invest in the technology, maybe they want to store their wealth, or maybe they're just using it as a form of payment. Whatever the reason, Bitcoin doesn't discriminate on the basis of race, creed, or nationality. This is especially attractive for people in countries with a history of inflation or even hyperinflation. Chavez, what's hyperinflation? It's when a country's government or central bank, by printing more and more money to supplement their needs, increases the supply of currency at such a rapid and excessive pace. When the supply of money increases more rapidly than demand, the price of goods nominally increases. So the price of tacos or tape will increase faster than people can make money. A good example of this has occurred during the last year. Food prices have risen dramatically, in part due to the monetary expansion of the world's currency supplies. The U.S. printed $4 trillion over the last couple of years, and going to print more. Again, that's another reason why the U.S. is mostly seen as the world reserve currency, but the government just tells the Federal Reserve to just print money and just devalues. What does it get devalued? I don't know how much percent a year. I think Michael Saylor said 15% a year. And what if you invest in the S&P 500, like the VOO or the SPY, you get 9 to 11% a year. That's not something that I think is a good deal. You want something that's going to hold its value. And for me, I think that is Bitcoin. Now, moving on with the article, saying that price increases of Bitcoin in fiat terms can also be seen by the supply of fiat currency expands. Extreme increases in national currency supplies cause the prices of everyday goods to rise. Two recent examples that we have are Venezuela and Zimbabwe. Prices have risen so dramatically that Zimbabwe is now printing $100 trillion and even using paper bills in more utilitarian ways, such as using them as fire starters. You can only imagine that they might be using them as toilet paper. Many times, countries shut down access and use of the US dollar. Now, because people change over to a more reliable currency, demand drops, and so does the value for the currency being left behind. In turn, closing off the escape route to other currencies cripples the people's ability to save and destroys the economy. Now, people aren't allowed to buy US dollars, so they're forced into using it on the black market. When countries' currencies hyperinflate, countries blamed the US dollar. Like in 2010, Hugo Chavez signed a currency law pegging the bolivar to a certain exchange rate. And since then, people have lost, I've hung on average, 20 pounds. I call it the Maduro diet. And since then, inflation has only risen, and citizens have been forced into using dollars on the black market. In November of 2020, 10 years after what happened with the bolivar in Venezuela, Zimbabwe's Secretary for Finance told business leaders Zimbabwe would not return to the US dollar, saying, quote, "One of the biggest mistakes was dollarizing and removing your own currency," end quote. And that's according to a Bloomberg report. But Bitcoin solves this. With the use of Bitcoin, people have an option to escape their collapsing hyperinflated currencies and hold their wealth in a decentralized network that is independent of the current financial system. They cannot make more of it, cannot be made by a different government. You can't stop someone from buying Bitcoin. You can't stop them from transacting in Bitcoin. You definitely can't stop them from holding Bitcoin. There are ways in which a government could constrict the use of Bitcoin, but in the past, this has increased adoption. And to stop Bitcoin altogether, you would need to just shut down the internet. And we all know doing that would mean there would be just no GDP whatsoever. So when a currency collapses and people adopt Bitcoin, the incredible value of its use case is revealed in both theory and in practice. This increases adoption and could help propel people to create more Bitcoin infrastructure. Now, the more countries that have hyperinflated currencies, the more capital gets eaten up, because Bitcoin was created to be the scarcest asset in the world at 21 million. and it is the best instrument to which people can turn. The people who see its value the most are the ones closest to the problem. The first likely event is that impoverished countries adopt Bitcoin as a store of value that is less volatile than their own currencies. Although the US dollar is great for this, Bitcoin allows for digital transacting, and as Bitcoin's market cap grows, it becomes a more stable form of money. Right now, it's at like it's over $1 trillion. It's at like 1.1 trillion, whatever it is. When it reaches $5 trillion and it's almost $250,000 per Bitcoin, and you 4 or 5 extra money, and that's how you could. Definitely, you did not hear that here first. I've definitely heard that from other places, but when it goes to 500,000, same thing. It goes to 1 million, same thing. I wholeheartedly believe that before 2030, it will be $1 million per coin. And at first, I said like, oh yeah, I'm really bullish, saying it might be $1 million per coin by 2030. It's like, oh, that's probably a little too conservative. And then as time goes on, I was like, yeah, it's going to happen before 2030. Again, just my opinion. But eventually, we could see a cascading effect as an exponential amount of adoption occurs. In Argentina, the inflation rate has increased by 40%, not in 1 year, which would be horrible. It is in 1 month, from January through February of 2021. They have a history of inflation, and Plaxful, a trading exchange, has been onboarding people there in a rapid manner. This is known as leapfrogging. It's when a new technology is introduced to a poorly developed country, they leapfrog the entire costly infrastructure of the previous system and adopt a new, less expensive one. A good example of this is introduction of cell phones in less developed countries. Building the infrastructure and wiring for traditional telephones would have cost insanely large amounts of money that these countries simply do not have. Then, cell phones came around, and building their communication towers carried only a fraction of the cost. This is very similar to the situation with banking infrastructure. So the first dominoes of adoption to fall could be the smaller, less developed countries. And it's like, Chavez, aren't we always going to need banks? No, we don't need banks now. There are people that just cannot go to a bank because they don't have enough money. They want you to have a certain amount of money in there, which is like, in my opinion, just a war on poor people. What the fudge is that about? I'm so salty about that. So thank God for companies like Square that just like, and again, I used to own stock in Square. I don't anymore. I should probably kept it, but yeah, they're disrupting the banking industry by saying like, oh, here, just take an account and a routing number, and if you're a business and you want money, yeah, we'll do the underwriting and we'll give bank statements. We have everything here. We'll give you a loan and we'll just take it out of the proceeds that you get. It's so beautiful. Like they're gonna be one of the biggest companies in the world. They'll be $1 trillion company easily, in my opinion. Historically, the US dollar has been extremely stable, so seeing the specific use case in the US is difficult because, like, okay, well, that's US dollar is a reserve currency. Okay, but if the government keeps telling the Fed to print trillions of dollars each year, it's not going to be the world currency forever. And also, historically speaking, one country's currency is the world currency for about 100 years, give or take. How long has the U.S. been the world currency for? I don't know, 1900s, 1940, yeah, after World War II. I mean, it's New York's United States is still a relatively young country in comparison to the rest of the world. But however, a country whose currency loses 40% of its value year over year, Bitcoin would seem stable. Now, as countries with less stable currencies start to adopt Bitcoin and add to its market cap, the network will slowly become less volatile until price fluctuations are reduced to stable levels. This is already visible on the network today, and it all seems very far away, but adoption generally occurs slowly and then all at once. Slowly and then all at once. So it's like an S curve. And again, what you're seeing right now is the bottom of that S curve, where it's slowly gone up and then we're at the bottom. I think we're going to go like this and then eventually plateau, but again, just my opinion. This is the nature of the network effects and exponential growth. Ultimately, Bitcoin can be a tool for liberty and freedom from currency abuse, empowering the world and its people. The more efficiently people can store their time and energy as money, the more efficient the world economy will be. And that was written by Mitch Klee from Bitcoin Magazine. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Comments are good for the YouTube algorithm. Let me know if you have buying any more Bitcoin this week, this month, this year. Let me know. Everyone say bye-bye to Dashi. Bye-bye, Dashi. We love you. All right, goodbye, guys. Meow, meow, meow.